Yo, what's up, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in again. This episode is very, very special. I have a special guest right here, the man behind the camera. I've actually been wanting to do this for a long time, having an episode with T, because I feel like our conversations that we have are just really, really deep, very insightful. And he's one of the really, really few friends that we connect, and we're able to have these engaging conversations where we don't just touch the surface level, we go deep into it, and just keep picking at it, tearing apart the layers or whatever the topic is of discussion. So today's discussion topic is, the power of vulnerability and the reframing of masculinity for the modern man. And what I mean by that, and we were actually talking about this in the car, he mentioned how there's so many layers to these topics that this episode will not do it justice. And nor was our goal, our goal wasn't to, address everything, because that's going to be really, really tough to do in, how long this video is, within 15-30 minutes. But we just want to get it going. We want people to,
start a conversation.
Exactly.
About it, and we're just gonna, just scratch the surface of it. But it's something that we feel that you should be having conversations with your friends and your family. So just bear with us. Bear with me, because I am a little nervous. So just bear with me. But I am grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful that he wanted me to be in the video. So so let's just thank you guys, and thank you, and let's do this.
All right, let's do this. Diving into it. I first want to start off, by this quote that I read. Actually, I heard about it a couple days ago, probably like a week ago. I was watching this anime, this manga on Netflix, and the master kept telling him, soft is hard. And then, because I know we've been trying to plan this video for a couple weeks now,
Right.
And so I was kind of like, throughout the weeks I was just trying to figure out, what content, what information that I can get to apply to this video. And then that just struck a chord with me, because it perfectly applied, the power of vulnerability, and this whole construct of men. Right.
So he literally brought this quote up to me literally minutes before we started recording, and it shook me a little bit, because I feel that in generations, what we've been passed down from generation to generation is what masculinity is versus femininity, right?
Yeah.
And so we were always we were taught in a sense where femininity was weak and masculinity was strong. But for me, in my experience, and just to say this, that what we talk about and what we're talking about is really what we feel and what we've gone through in our experiences. And so we're just sharing that. So with that being said, so me growing up, like, the women in my family were they're very nurturing and very, they were motherly and feminine, but they were also very strong. And so learning that from the outside world and seeing that's what was portrayed growing up, but I couldn't relate to that, because in my own family, like, the women, they held it down. They were strong. The men, they were just as strong, maybe not physically, but then mentally, emotionally, and they held their ground. My grandmother, for example, she's just that woman in our family where we're just like, she was our rock, our foundation. So there goes with, and she's feminine, like, she's a grandma, and so to have that quote where it says, soft is hard or strong, exactly. That's how come I totally related to that, and it hit me, because that's just what I grew up with. So
yeah, and just to go off of that, like, because that like exactly how you say, often portrayed femininity with females, masculinity with men, but what a lot of people don't realize is we both have both traits in us. We have our feminine traits and our masculine traits.
Yes.
I'm saying feminine traits, what I mean by that is when you're creative, you're collaborating with people, those are considered feminine traits. Masculinity is when people are assertive, competitiveness, those are considered masculine traits.
Right.
And kind of like you need to have both, the yin and yang. There needs to be a balance, and that's just how life. There's always a balance that you need to have both traits. And what the interesting thing about it is, what people don't realize is that men are actually more emotional than women, and it's true though.
It's so true. My friends out there, you guys know I tell you this all the time. My female friends, but yeah, no, I totally agree.
And just think about like when you go through a breakup, for example. The women, they probably take like the first couple of weeks, first month is hard. The men, it takes a little bit longer, but after like the second, third month, they're like complete. The world is upside down. They're like falling apart. They don't know what to do.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of it has to do is because as men, we tend to try to mask our emotions, and we try to bury it without actually confronting it. Like you said, we're programmed to believe that, programmed to have that identity and kind of like socialized to think like, hey, I'm a man, I can't show any emotions, I gotta just be hard. Back to the quote, and before you even get it, I want to say the full quote is, what's soft is strong, water is fluid, soft and yielding, but water will wear away rock, which is rigid and cannot yield. As a rule, whatever is fluid and soft and yielding, one second here, will overcome whatever is rigid and hard.
Yes. Ooh. So, one of the questions that you had asked me prior that I'm sure you asked me was what I felt what a man is. Right?
Yes, correct.
So, back then, growing up, what I felt what a man was exactly that. Was like, don't show emotion, man up. That saying, I'm guilty for using that too. And man up, just totally strong, and just you don't talk about your emotions. And so that's what I felt, or what I thought what a man was growing up, was that. Now that I am learning and we're talking a lot more about masculinity and femininity and me as myself as a person, I'm starting to see that we're more complex. Men are more complex than that. And that now when a man to me, and I'm still learning, like we're still going, and we're still picking at it, and we're still changing things, and we're still, addressing things, and then also applying things to become a better man, a human, period. But now to me, a man is all that. Exactly. A man is also stoic, but also open and able to share their emotion, talk about it, good and bad, and address it, but also that's strong too. So to me, it's man now, and what I feel and going forward, and it's gonna keep changing. Now that we're all having conversations, a man is gonna be all that, just emotionally stable, emotionally and able to communicate and just be open to all that. So that's what I feel.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. And like I said, I do want people to realize like these are just two men's experiences.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure like everyone has a story to tell. And I've like, ever since I began this journey of spirituality, this is probably a year ago, which I've told you guys my story. That's when I started delving more deep into my insecurities. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And coming to be able to accept myself, who I was. You know what I'm saying? And it's been like a journey. So I don't want, people often think like, oh, it's easy, but it isn't. It's probably like some of the hardest work you're ever going to do, because you're going to face your demons that you don't want to face.
I 1,000% agree.
It's tough. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I want to ask you. Because we've been friends for a little over a year or so, and you are very in tune. I mean, like, you've gotten in tune with your emotion and you're very spiritual, and you're I guess you would say just emotionally your IQ is there, and it's getting better. You acknowledge that. How I know that with being that in tune with your emotions, some people outside that may not know you or even know you may think that that they automatically think that you're gay.
Yeah.
And how did you get from the point where you accept that that's who you're straight heterosexual man?
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're just very in tune with your emotions, and you're aware of them, and you are okay, and you're fine with addressing it, but you're also masculine. Like, how did you come to terms as, like, this is me, like, and this is, I'm cool with that? Like, how did you? Because I know outside, that it could get annoying, because they're just already judging you because of that concept, because they're tying you being emotional or that you talk about your emotions into being like, that's gay.
Yeah. And to be honest, it really had to do with like my self-esteem, a lot of confidence, and a lot of it had I feel like a lot of it stemmed from when I was a little kid. I was overweight, and people used to pick on me when I was in elementary. We kids can be mean sometimes, and that's one thing I struggled with when I was a little kid. And then from that, I remember the specific experience. I remember I tried out for football. I didn't last. Like, I remember we ran a couple laps around the field, and then we went to doing the push-up exercise, and I didn't even last that. I gave up. I was like, fuck this, because up until that point I didn't even exercise. This was like in junior high, and I remember all my friends would make fun of me, like, oh, you fucking quit, this and that, and that kind of stuck with me, and that shit like tore me down. Like, I didn't have self-confidence. My self-esteem was trashed because of that for the longest time. You know what I'm saying? I thought myself as a quitter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I had to come to terms that I was no longer that person, and that nor can I allow someone to have that much power over me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until probably the last year, I'm telling you, that I started like evolving and started manifesting the person that I wanted to. I wanted to grab hold of that identity that I felt like that was meant for me, and I'm destined to be. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, it involved me going through depression. It involved me going through a lot of anxiety. And so like I remember one day I just woke up and I was like, I'm tired of just feeling this way. And then that's when I started doing yoga. I went to this yoga center. I met my master Amy. She's no longer there, but I met her, and I remember the first meeting we had. She's like, "You're very in tune with yourself. You have this awareness that not a lot of people have." But she's like, "I can tell you're not centered." So from that moment, she already she just touched me, and she already felt it. She already felt like something was wrong. And then after going through those, I took this course in that center. It's called Finding Your True Self, and you do so many exercises. I don't want to go too into it. It's gonna take a while.
That's a whole other video. Because I'm interested in these exercises. That's a whole other video.
That's a whole other video we can discuss. But it just talks about like things people said to you. I'm going to talk about one exercise because I feel like it was so impactful for me. So there's an exercise where there's people in the middle. There's like 4 of us in the middle and then 4 of us on the outside. The people on the outside were yelling all the things that anyone's ever said to you that you were holding on to for the longest time to the people in the middle. And as you're yelling those things, those people started to diminish. They started shrinking. They started lowering to the ground. And as you continue, and I kid you not, people started crying.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, you feel that energy when you. Because think about it. A lot of times we say those things in our mind.
Right.
But if we actually said it, it's almost like as if you're yelling it to yourself, like yelling it back at yourself.
Right.
And then after that, the second part was now we're telling ourselves positive things that that we really truly are. And as we're doing that, this started rising up. and then we swapped places. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know.
It was definitely an experience. You know what I'm saying? After that, I felt like a whole completely different person.
Good.
You know what I'm saying? And because I feel like a lot of times we let like a lot of things that people tell us, we let them impact us.
That power.
It's because we have these beliefs instilled in us, and we hold on to them for such a long time, and we identify with them because that's what we've been told.
Right.
But never do we stop and take a step back and realize does this belief still serve its purpose in my life?
Right.
And most likely 9 times out of 10 it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Because you're a whole different other person. You know what I'm saying? And then coming back full circle to around that whole embracing like my feminine traits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've always been creative, bro. Like since I think I got more. I started writing poetry when I was in high school, sophomore year. The funny thing, I started writing poetry because it was a girl.
Yeah.
So I remember
girls. I know.
It was like my high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
I was trying to impress her. Like I knew she wrote, and at that time, and then I was like, you know, I'm gonna try to impress her. So I started writing too.
Mm-hmm.
But little did I know that it would be one of my passions later on in life, and I just kept with it. And I feel like that really opened me up and allowed me to express myself in ways that I never thought that I could, which is with writing. And that's why I hold writing so close to my heart. You know, I write my journal every day, and then, you know, I write posts on my blog and stuff like that. It's because I feel like writing is so therapeutic. You know what I'm saying? There's like this connection between your hand and your mind. You know what I'm saying? So writing has definitely helped me just find acceptance. And, you know, and I remember I read this book, 4 Agreements. It's a really, really, really good book. I recommend you guys read it. He says, when people tell you something, don't take it personally.
Right.
Because a lot of times, when people say something, it has to do with them. It's something that they're struggling with. And that's why when you see those quotes on Instagram and stuff like that, when they say, if someone's having a bad day and they're lashing out at you, don't take it personally. No. It's so true. Yeah. Think about it. We work in the Medicare business. We work with a lot of old. We work with old people. I'm talking to them constantly, and a lot of times they're mad. And like when I call, they're already pissed off. Like, why the hell are you calling me? This and that, you know. But it's like, I know they're not directly mad at me, but like a lot of these old people, they suffer from loneliness. You know what I'm saying? Yes. And they have kids that don't see them. Yeah. They feel forgotten. You know what I'm saying? Or they're sick. They're going through the constant pain. And I realized that it's like I can either take it as a moment for me to reciprocate that same negativity, or I can take it as a moment and say, hey, take a step back, I'm gonna be compassionate. Yeah. Which one would take you further?
Being compassionate.
Exactly, it'll take you further. And maybe you can open them up.
It's so easy to be mean though. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's like, it's so easy, but to be compassionate, you be mean and you get the gratification for a second. But if you be compassionate, that's something that just will last, you know, obviously so much longer. But
and just looking through my whole experience, it was kind of hard. And the reason why I struggle with it so much is because all the male figures in my life, you know, I never, like male figures, they weren't like open or open like that. You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
So, because of the generations prior to them, just was passed down. Like you just didn't see them do this. Yeah. Yeah. Like. And then when you live in a world where you feel like you don't belong in it, it's kind of hard. You know what I'm saying? You're like, dang, I really don't fit in this. I feel different. Yeah.
You feel different,
and then it makes you feel like you're wrong and you're bad.
Exactly.
You don't. Yeah. It's like, but who you are is wrong. Basically.
Exactly. Yeah. And then like something that's really refreshing to see is like I see my brothers. I have older brothers. They kind of like reversing the cycle. And seeing how they bring their kids up, and like, damn, that really touches my heart. Like, for example, my brother Jesse, I remember I was telling you, he has this tradition when his 2 kids, his 2 older boys, they turned 13. He actually had us, like my brothers, write them letters, and all the male figures in their lives, write them letters, just giving them advice, what it is to be a man and stuff like that. And I feel like, that's dope. Like, because I have like no one, like I've never had that in my life. So exactly. I was like, that's really...
Our generation, I don't think a lot of us could say that we have.
We can't say that. So, and often it comes through a point where you realize that you have to end that cycle. Right. And it's funny because I was thinking about the J. Cole song. He was like, he talks about revolution and how the revolution, it really isn't going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And not just on a societal level. I know we're taking a whole different direction, but let me just tie this back in. Is he makes a comment how the abuser or the abused become the abuser.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, hurt people. Exactly. And like the only real revolution is gonna happen from the inside. You have to work in the inside and then work your way to your outside world and let everything else reflect. Right. So it's saying exactly like you need to love yourself, work with yourself before you could feel like you could change the world.
Exactly.
Like, you need to do the work.
Yeah.
Yourself. So what happens is I feel when you do that, because you have people out here that are out there preaching and out there like saying the great things and saying this, but then it doesn't. It may not connect because they're not living it. They're not applying it to them, or they're just. They're almost in a sense almost kind of like a fraud, But then when you have people that actually ownership and take acknowledge it, and they're like, hey, I'm applying this too.
Yeah.
Like I'm going through it too. I'm walking it with you guys. That to me, I gravitate more to people like that because then I can tell, like, oh yeah, we're going through this together.
Yeah.
Versus someone just telling me great things, good things and inspirational things. So anyway,
I feel like that's why we gravitate.
Oh yeah,
we're on that same energy frequency, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, mind you, like I one thing I was really nervous about this is because I have conversations like this with my close friends. Like it's again something very intimate, like for me, like because we go in deep and we go in and we pick things and we laugh and we almost cry and sometimes cry, stuff like that. And so so this is a little. It is intimate, and so this is out of my comfort zone. But I'm happy, and my friends, they're always like, dude, like come on, like come out to the light and do this. So anyway, so yes, so we really go in and talk about stuff like that. But
and then touching back on like the vulnerability part component to the to our discussion is. This right now, what we're doing, we're being vulnerable. We're being so open and letting you into our lives. And I feel like those things that you're so scared of doing, those things that put you out of like your comfort zone, out of your pocket, those are the things you move towards.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Because I feel, for me, like being vulnerable with my friends, I'm okay with that. Like I'm totally okay being vulnerable with my friends, and I have no problem saying like, dude, like I fucked up, or dude, I'm going through this, or thinking about this, or whatever. But then when almost like and Mikey, like he's so natural at this, and so because I'm the one behind the camera video coding, and it's so cool, and so for him to pull me out from behind it, it is, but I appreciate, like, okay, because this is something that I feel that everybody should be talking about, so anyway, so I'm very being vulnerable is, I got to the point where I'm okay being vulnerable, but almost like vulnerable with the people that I love and like trust, but to almost whoever's gonna watch this, like I'm like, like wait a minute, like, so I mean, it's as you can see, I'm learning, and I'm still growing and adapting and just being comfortable.
And it's all about like gradual progress.
Yes,
slowly growing that circumference to allow more people into your life. And I feel like being vulnerable, a lot of it has to do with the power of listening, man.
Yes.
Like right now, for example, I'm getting more out of this just from listening to you. I don't realize, listening to you, I'm like, dang.
But we talk all the time, though.
But
now we have like, we get
to just even think about it, like when someone comes to you for advice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oftentimes, like you just want to right away tell them, you need to do this and that. But I feel like the person, what they really want is just someone just to listen. They just want you, just let them give you an earful and just sit back. And I learned that, like, because I feel like a lot of times, and I remember this. Amy told me, she was like, I told her, I have this idea in my head, it's like I kind of want to get back to social media and just start, just everything I learn, I want to share it with the world.
Right.
Because I feel like it's amazing. Like,
Yeah.
what the change that I've done in my life.
What you're going
and
through.
what I've been through and going through and where I'm at and where I want to go.
Because it's going to help. There's other people out there
Exactly.
in the same situation.
And I told her, I was like, I have this idea. And she was like, and it's like, in everything I was learning there, she's like, you just got to be careful.
Yeah.
Because she's like, a lot of people aren't ready to hear the advice that you're ready to give them.
Right.
They're not ready to hear the truth. So that's what I'm saying. Like, when you get advice, you have to tread very lightly.
Well, that's a very good point, which is probably why I'm also very always hesitant, like being vulnerable in this aspect, because normally going deep with it's so easy, and I know that that this is what we want. Like, we want, and this is what we need, and we just get that energy. We just exchange that energy with each other, and so when I do end up talking to other people outside, and I always just kind of surface it, and then once I go deep with somebody, they're like, I didn't know that you thought that way. It's because, like, I know that I don't want to sound too crazy to other people, because I know that I could go deep, and so other people they're not there yet, or they don't want it. They're not, and they're not acknowledging. They don't acknowledge that, like, they're not, and so they think they're cool. So that I just feel like I don't want to, because they're like, oh yeah, this guy's a little crazy, like, because people. When you start going in and start talking, and they're just like, oh, you're that deep, So that's I get it. Like, and that's why I'm also, like, very careful, because I'm like, who. Not everybody wants to hear it, and that's why I don't. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool, and that's it. And
I feel like you say more with actions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure.
And, like, if you're just think about it, if you see a happy person all the time, dude, why are you happy, bro? Like, what are you doing that's making you so happy? And then that's when that's your perfect opportunity.
Yeah. That's how because it was like, this guy was like, what's that? Like, I think that's how we met. We saw the hallways, like, what's that, dude? We're like, what's up? And I'm like, everyone's like, do you know him? I'm like, nah, I don't even know I didn't even know your name until, like, I don't know, maybe weeks or months later. But if we just say what's up to each other, like, we knew each other. Everyone's like, y'all know each other? I'm like, no, we walk when you're walking outside, or it was like that energy, like cool, dope energy. Yeah. So anyway,
so that's one thing.
Yeah.
So now, let me ask you a question. You, be a gay man.
yes.
How has this experience shaped you into the person you are today?
Yeah. Spoiler alert, I'm gay, guys.
If you didn't
know. Man,
you know what I'm saying? And, like, how has that defined you as a person?
Gosh, you may need, like, another, like, 5 hours. No, I'm just kidding. No. I mean, okay, so I've been out since 14 years old. Okay? This is back in, like, before 2000, like 98.
Yeah.
So think of the time, 98, not even the millennium yet. So 98, I'm a Samoan kid in a certain environment. Grew up very, around. I want to say, I grew up around gang members, family that are gang members, but also just my dad's a Marine, so also military. So coming out and my culture, is very taboo. So 14-year-old, knowing that I was different, I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew I was different, and not different because I was acting different or acting feminine.
Yeah.
It's because I was into, not only I was into sports, but I was also, like you said, I'm a dancer. I'm also an artist.
Yeah.
At the time I loved to draw, sketch, tag. At the time it was tagging, so that was the thing. And so I realized I'm very complex, but at the same time, and also religion. Ooh, let's just throw that in there. So religion too. Culture, religion, the era, and my environment, and just my family in general. Just the machismo, Samoans are like,
yeah.
you know, built this way, and they're like, hey, you know,
because Hispanics is Latinos
same exactly.
thing.
This culture, and so same. Like I was like, okay, I am all these things, you know, but I felt like I didn't belong. Like I didn't belong because I was into different things. I didn't want to do the gang stuff. I didn't want to do, you know, like sports stuff only, you know. So it was very interesting because I had just mentioned before we recorded, and people will ask me like, how did you get through that, right? Like you were 14. First of all, how do you know when you're 14? And I was like, I just knew, you know, I just knew I was different. I knew that what I liked, and so the one thing that what I was telling you is, now that I'm reflecting, I've been reflecting, now that I'm in my 30s, you know, now I was reflecting back, like, how did I get through that? But the one thing that, and if any kids out there or anybody, individual that's dealing with their sexuality or questioning it and stuff like that, or curious about it, but the one thing I would say is the support.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had my aunt, I had friends, you know, they were constantly in my ear and was saying like, look, like, this is you, like, and basically fuck everybody else. Do you. If you like to draw. If you like to play sports, but that doesn't mean like doesn't mean that you have to do one thing and you have to play the sports because you don't want to come off gay, or you know what I'm saying. Like, they're just like, embrace all of that. And because I constantly had that in my ear and I had that mentality, and they were just constantly, and so that's how I, you know, for me, like, it don't bother, like, it doesn't bother me, but then to accept all that, it for sure has been a journey to accept that. Oh, I can be this and I can be that. Even I can embrace my femininity side and my masculine side. And I'm just now, same thing with last few years, I'm able to now be able to embrace it all. You know, and I'm learning more, and then learning more that what that was, the masculinity back then, was what they call now is like toxic masculinity.
Exactly, toxic masculinity.
You know, and you know, and so it's like, it's been a dang journey, but I'm still learning, and to this day, and I know I'm gonna still keep learning. But being gay is just one part of me, you know. It's just a part of who I am, but I'm also all these other things. I'm also feminine. I like, you know, because that part. Okay, I mean, like, being feminine, I had to adjust, because even like being out in the gay world or whatever, even the last few years, like, because I have my group of friends, and when I started hanging around with a certain group of friends, they were males, they started saying girl, like, and I was like, you know, like, don't call me that, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, and I had to like peel that back and be like, why am I so, they're just it's just conversation. It triggered something me
deeper, you know.
And the one thing to talk about triggers also with that, like, girl, because what triggered also that is because that saying, like I said, what I'm guilty of is saying, man up. Man up, because I would say in my past relationships, and that was one thing also I want to bring up too, because we touched on it in your last video. You know, just the one thing that, you know, you had, you know, an argument with the person you were with, and she mentioned something in that nature was like, you're not man enough. And so that really triggered me, and I was like, why is that? Now I'm like, looking back, first of all, I had to stop using man up, because I've said it to I said it to kids, I've said it to my niece and nephews, and I was like, you know, I was like, maybe, you know, now that reflecting back, I shouldn't have said that, because I was just looking, now we're addressing what we are, what masculinity really is now, you know. And that triggered me, because I felt like you were questioning my manhood, but that's because I wasn't confident in my manhood. There you go. You know, now if someone has said that to me now, you know, I would have been like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, all right.
They don't
I was
invade you
like,
no
all
more.
right, yeah,
they don't invade
I'll
you.
be, okay, cool, you know,
Yeah.
like, you know, like the one saying was, you punk ass
Yeah.
bitch saying that. What you like? I ain't no
Yeah.
punk. Yeah, you know, I just punk like, you know, and I was like, now I'm all thinking about it, I'm like, no, because like I wasn't confident in my manhood because of what I was taught growing up, like, you know, don't, you know, they just question your manhood. What are you gonna do? You know?
Yeah.
So now, yeah, so that, yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Even like when you see there's certain types of guys in us, like just looking at them the wrong way,
Yes.
they already want to step to you.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I was like,
And the one thing I want to say too, because even going back to like when they say when guys are emotional and tying that to being gay, like they're like, oh, that's so gay, like because you just kind of like, because we're having a conversation like this, dang, that's so gay.
Yeah.
It's like, well, first of all, let me just tell you about the gay world, okay? Let me just tell
gotta
you,
drop knowledge on
yo,
them.
gay men, their emotions are not intact either. Like you know, it's like, so it's like, no, like it's, you know, they have gay men that I've dealt with in myself. I can speak for myself, and like, you know, people that I've been around, like gay men also are trying to address this, and they're trying to, because of what they've been taught, you know, and so that we're just, you know, so like, you know, tying to, oh, you're so emotional as gay. It's like, no, because I've met men that are not emotional, because they feel if they show it, you know, they're weak.
Yeah.
You know, and so like, just for y'all out there, like just like, let's knock that stuff out, because just be on the for real, like us gay men are just going, we're men, we're human, we're human, and we're figuring this out ourselves. So that to me always like bugs me, because I'm like, oh, gay men, they can't speak about their emotions either.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So I think out of all the episodes, I was really, really excited to do this one.
yeah,
Specifically, just because, like, I know we're having this conversation with him, and
Yeah.
I was like, man, like, just think about how everything has changed within, like, the last decade.
yeah,
Like, so much has changed. Like, before, there wasn't even talks about vulnerability,
No.
masculinity.
nothing.
It was tough.
It's
you know
just,
what I'm saying?
yeah, I feel, yeah.
Now these conversations are popping up more often.
Yes,
And
and men are talking about
even
it.
mental health, like people would have anxiety. That was called
Come on.
a couple weeks, like probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was one of my friends was throwing a party,
Mhm.
a welcome home party, and we're just there chopping it up. One of my homies there, he was like, "Hey," he's like, "Dude, I just been having really a lot of anxiety." And then one of my good friends, Sino, he suffers from like panic attacks. He gets them like crazy. I remember we've gone to dinner and we literally have to be there for an hour. We had to chill there for an hour because he got a panic attack in the middle of eating.
Yeah.
And like, you can't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
You just have to be patient and wait till, you know, you just got to take it for a ride
Yeah.
until he calms down, and that's it. And we were just like sharing our experiences with anxiety
Yeah.
and, you know, mental health. And when I was like younger, I don't remember ever doing that before.
No.
Have you ever remembered like at a party
No.
just having a conversation like that? And I feel like that was really dope to like, you know, this experience, because, you know, it shows that things are changing, and, you know, people are being more open about things.
Like, I feel you have to, if we're like moving forward, and also for the generation after us.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, I feel like I've been in a few relationships, and we're just tying, you know, with mental health, like it's serious. Like, you have to make sure you have that together, or at least address it, talk to somebody about it.
Exactly.
Because, you know, I've also dealt with mental health, but I've been fortunate enough to understand it and address it when I need to.
Yeah.
But then when I've been with people that they're in denial about it, and they're not addressing it, it's really hard to be with somebody, and you want to help them, but then you can't. There's only so much you could do.
Yeah.
Like they say, you could take oars to the water, but you can't make them drink. You know, and so, and also in the gay, just in general. But I just want to say, in the gay culture, in the gay world, or in the gay scene, like, mental health is is serious, because you have to think we were all gay men trying to deal with, you know, our sexuality, you know, and so that messes with the psyche,
Yeah.
you know, but that's just humans in general.
Because if you think about it, like it is counterculture.
Yes.
It's counterculture. It goes against everything that regular society and culture believes. You know, that they have indoctrinated in them. So
that's
like,
a whole other episode.
So that's one thing that I like to say. I was gonna say something, but it just like I was just so lost in what you said, it just like escaped me.
No,
but anyway, so we just felt like this. We need to talk about this, and I feel like there needs to be a reframing of masculinity, and we need to reconceive what it is to be a man in this modern age, because everything that was said before, everything that was told to us in our past, I don't think is no longer applies. You know,
even
some of it does.
Even
but
what we're doing right
it,
now will be it's pushing. You know, they're like masculinity. They're like, you know, like, because it's so easy
for changing.
Yes, exactly. I feel like for men, it's so easy to talk about surfacing stuff. We could talk about sports. We could talk about, you know, girls, guys, whatever. Like that's something so easy to talk about when you're around guys. Like, right, we could talk about this and that, like sports wise, or guns, or this and that, like whatever you want. That's so easy, but when it comes to stuff like this, it's very, you know, for men. So I feel like what we're doing, like this right here, is also like, you know, oh, okay, like it's almost like I feel like they're gonna kind of like step back, but they're like, okay, they're gonna come in and try to hopefully, you know, take what you guys can take.
And it reminds me of a quote from Walt Whitman where he says, "I'm filled with contradictions."
Yeah.
Back to saying that we're constantly changing.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
And the funny thing is when people see you, that you haven't seen in a long time, like, damn, it's like you're not the same. Like,
of course,
I'm not the same.
Of course.
And I hope I'm not the same, because I want to be constantly growing.
Yeah.
Constantly changing, adapting, and reevaluating. Like I said, there's certain values that you hold true that they're unshakable.
Yeah.
That are
that's
just
your
like,
foundation.
That's your foundation.
And then
there's other things that, you know, there's room for change, and I feel like you should always constantly be shifting. You know what I'm saying? And there's a quote that I actually heard on the podcast where he said tradition is peer pressure from dead people.
Woo!
And I was like, when I heard that, I was like, it's for perfectly for, you know, this episode.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're at.
That's
that's the point where we've come to. I just want to end it with, you know, with this, on this really positive note. If you're struggling figuring out who you are, don't be in such a rush, because I know at one point I was, you know, I was dealing with pressure from, you know, society of where I should be by the time I'm a certain point. Like, you should own a house, you should have a kid, you should be married, you should do this, you should do that.
I'm in my 30s, and I know what I told myself that I needed to be. I was like, you crazy guy. This is me talking about my younger self. Like, who did you think that you're gonna have? Like, you know, like have it all together by then? No, it's constant change. So
it's constantly change. Just be patient. Just be patient. Have faith. But at the same time, you gotta work hard. You gotta work towards your goals and dreams. You can't believe they're just gonna manifest out of thin air. But no, it's not how it happens. You gotta be willing to put in the work.
Put in the work. Exactly. Apply.
Exactly.
And experience. You know, and having conversations like this it's the best. Like that's what I like I said before. Like, yes, it's one thing talking about it, but we actually sit here and we actually, like you said, like this guy here like meditates, you know, like his text message to me even prior, he was like, bro, just breathe and meditate before you come. I mean, you're him writing, like I used to write too, and I'm that's my journey too that I need to do. He's really good at that, so like just do all that do the work. That's the work that
and you don't necessarily have to do everything that we say. Just as long as you do something that's gonna help you out. Do whatever applies to your life. And that's gonna just move the needle. However amount, any little change, you know, will make a huge impact and a huge difference. You know, and I want to end it on this quote. I heard it too. I thought it was so beautiful. I was like, man, this just captures everything we're talking about. The curiosity to know yourself and the courage to be yourself.
That part.
So so you just gotta be curious, be a little kid, you know, in the sense that you know, always have that just amazement with life. You know what I'm saying? When I walk, sometimes I just walk and I literally sometimes I'll just touch a tree. Just to feel the energy from a tree. I'll touch a flower, admire a flower. Have that same admiration when you were a little kid, when you just were just simply just playing,
learning things,
just learning things. You know, you were so eager to learn and to grow. Have that same, you know, vigor for life.
Because nobody knows everything.
Exactly.
You know, so just you know, just take it all in. I agree.
And courage to be yourself, man. Because there's gonna be a lot of naysayers out there,
man,
and they're gonna try to knock you down. But just believe in yourself, believe in your purpose. And I'm telling you, once you find that meaning and purpose in your life, you're golden. You're set. Right? So my challenge for y'all this week is, you know, is to have conversations. Deep, not necessarily a conversation on, you know, femininity, masculinity, or anything like that, but just have a deep conversation with the loved ones. You know, someone close. You can start off with your loved ones. Just about something you've been holding on to that's been on your mind, like, man, I really want to talk about someone. Just pick their brains and see what you know, their perspective. You know, just have those deep conversations. I feel like oftentimes, you know, we go about our days going just like surface level talk. You know, saying, how's your day? You know, oh yeah, it's sunny today. You know, just small talk. Like, go really. I want you guys to just delve in deeper.
Ask them how they're doing.
That's a big one. How are you? But they'll tell you good. And then they'll tell you good, say, how are you really? Always come with that question. Someone could be telling you I'm good, but it isn't always the truth. It may be dealing with something a little bit that they just.
Because I'm guilty of that too.
So, all right, thank you so much for watching, guys. We love you. This ain't gonna be the last time T's gonna be on here. He probably doesn't know that, but I'll bring him on again. But thank you all for watching. Love y'all. Peace and love.